The F-150 Lightning has the majority of the benefits that you'd find in an F-150, but it's fully electric. So depending on how much you drive, you could potentially be saving thousands of dollars a year looking at an electric instead of going for one of the regular gas versions instead. Now, this is the new flash trim level for the Lightning, but I want to unpack this F-150 while also asking the question, who is the F-150 Lightning best for? I think you'd be surprised. Pricing for the F-150 Lightning Flash in Canada is going to start at around $75,000 versus just a little over $70,000 in the US. And that's before you look at any possible incentives you might be able to find inside of this ride. But pricing is all over the place because there are a few different trim levels, with the Pro being the entry level and then the Platinum being the most expensive fully loaded option. You don't necessarily have to go for that Platinum trim level or even the Lariat to get some of the added benefits though, because the new Flash has quite a few different features that I would say it gives it more or less like the look or the feature set of an XLT and a half. It's pretty neat. This F-150 is in the Avalanche paint, and while it wouldn't be my go-to color choice, I have gotten quite a few compliments from my neighbors. Looking at the 23 versus the 2024 Lightning, there are a few small changes and some not so subtle changes as well. So there are a few paint choices that are no longer available. The higher trims with the 18-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system are losing 4 speakers, so you're maxing out at 14 speaker instead, but I'll touch on the sound when we hop inside. One really exciting thing though that came to the 2024 F-150 Lightning is the all-new heat pump. And the benefits there are that it improves heat transfer and it reduces power consumption, which means that you're going to get better performance and range in cold weather. Now, it's strictly in the F-150 Lightning right now, but I'm really hoping Ford opens that heat pump up to the Mach-E. That would be a game changer for that electric. There are some limitations to the F-150 Lightning. It's only available 4x4. You'll only find it with the Super Crew, and as of right now, with the 5.5-foot bed. So if you are looking for something that can maybe tow a little bit more, or if you want a different configuration, the Lightning's not there yet. And I don't know if Ford is going to open up the different configuration options for the Lightning. Only time will tell. 4x4 is useful, especially if you live in northern states or Canada, where you're going to be getting snow. Because 4x2 with rear-wheel drive is an absolute nightmare. Even with a heavier pickup truck, you're going to be fishtailing in the snow. Wheel sizes and styles are going to vary depending on the trim level, with the Flash trim level getting 20-inch wheels, and these things are dark, not blacked out, which I'd like to see, but even still the dark look is pretty solid. Unlike the regular F-150, where you've got the option for something like the Tremor or the Raptor, which is going to give you upgraded suspension, the Lightning doesn't have that available. Would be kind of cool to see an electric that's got off-road capabilities, kind of like what Ford did with the Mach-E Rally that was introduced for the 2024 model. Charging for the F-150 Lightning is done along the driver's side, and one thing just style-wise that I like that Ford's done, it's denoted that this is the Flash trim level with this bright blue lettering, so it's kind of got this nice little stroke in behind all the letters that just looks solid. So it's along the driver's side, and it does support level 1, level 2, and level 3, which you may need if you're going to be on the road quite a little bit. I don't have a level 2 charge station at home, so strictly level 1. This is the 131 kilowatt hour version, so regular wall plug with, let's say, 1 kilowatt hour draw, you're 131 hours to fully charge up roughly. So you're a couple days in order to be able to go from 0 to 100. But you could go for a level 2, and let's say if it's a 6 kilowatt hour draw for this battery, you're looking at charging up in about 22 to 24 hours, somewhere in that ballpark. So whether or not you decide to go for a level 1 or 2 is going to depend on how much you drive. If you only drive 30 kilometers or 20 miles a day, you could just get away with a level 1 charger. Just plug into your wall when you get home and you're charged up, you're set to go. Level 3 charging is useful, obviously, if you're on the road and you're going to be towing. And that then begs the question, who is the F-150 Lightning made for? If you're the type of person where you want a truck just for the sake of having a truck, if you never really use it, or if you just use it occasionally, the Lightning could be for you. Because here's the thing, it's fully electric. And if you were to compare that to something like the regular 2.7 liter EcoBoost or even the 3.5 liter Power Boost, you're potentially going to spend a few $1,000s a year on fuel. Let's say in a hypothetical world, you spend $100 a week on your fuel costs for your truck. That's $5,200 a year. The added savings that you get from the Lightning could more than make it worth it for you, because if you're going to save $5,000 a year in fuel costs over the course of 6 years of ownership, you're going to potentially save $30,000 over the course of 6 years of ownership, which is amazing. But the F-150 Lightning, in my opinion, I don't think is meant for people that need to tow long distances or are towing heavy loads longer distances regularly, even short distances, because the overall range that you get in the truck is negatively impacted when you start towing. It's negatively impacted in colder weather as well. So that's one thing that you've got to ask yourself. If you might only be towing 100 to 150 kilometers a day or like 100 miles a day, the Lightning could be for you. The overall range that you get in the truck is solid. In the standard range, you're 240 miles or 386 kilometers. The extended range is 320 miles or 515 kilometers, with the Platinum dropping down a little bit to 300 miles or 483 kilometers instead. The front end of the Lightning is also kind of neat. The LED headlamps are very different than the traditional F-150, and there's a nice light bar that stretches across, so it wraps over the lamps and all the way through at the middle. There's obviously no traditional grille inside of the ride, but you will find a few things, like a few tow hooks in the front. There's also the option for the forward sensing system, depending on your trim, along with the front-facing camera. So there is a 360 camera that's available inside of this ride. Getting into the frunk can be done a few different ways. There's a button just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, and then you'd also be able to utilize the key fob in order to make it happen. Love it. Power Frunk! And there's a good amount of space here, and then this one also has a 20-foot charge cable that's available right from the factory with level 1 and level 2 support. Obviously, if you're doing level 2, get an electrician to install an outlet outside, but you could also look at a home charging station. And one of the big benefits of that home charging station is that anywhere where power outages happen, you could reverse the flow. So if you've got a truck that's fully charged up, you could reverse that energy to plug into your home, so then your home is drawing energy from the truck instead. It's really, really cool. Just one of the added benefits of the Lightning. Off to the left-hand side, there's a little button in order to control the lights that are up overhead. And then there's also a 2.4 kilowatt hour power draw available in the front. So 4 regular wall plugs and some USB power points as well. Closing the front can be done from the key fob from the inside, and there's a button over top in order to close instead. There are 2 different battery options available inside of the F-150 Lightning. This is the 131 kilowatt hour version, which means you're looking at an impressive 580 horsepower and an insane 775 pound-feet of torque. This truck can absolutely haul. But what we're going to do, get back up to highway speed. I'm going to put myself into sport mode, which is going to unlock the best possible performance. Let's get back up to speed in 3, 2, and 100. Damn! It's so impressive. It's so unbelievably impressive. When you do pulls like that, you're absolutely going to end up using more of your battery, but if you're not doing it all the time, the battery will last you. It's surprising how much this truck pulls and how fast it can get up to speed. And that's just one of the benefits of the 775 pound-feet of torque. Because the only engine in the regular F-150 lineup that would come close to this would be the Raptor, the 5.2 liter supercharged V8. And even still, this has more torque. The Raptor has more horsepower, which means it'll have a higher top speed, but this has more torque, which means it's going to get you to that top speed faster. So it's just a huge benefit of the Lightning. You just get killer performance inside of a truck. How do you complain? The warranty for the F-150 Lightning is the exact same as the regular F-150. So your basic is going to be a 3-year, 36,000 mile, 60,000 kilometer. Powertrain gets bumped up to a 5-year, 60,000 mile, 100,000 kilometer. And then the hybrid EV components are covered for 8 years, 100,000 mile, 160,000 kilometers. So you are covered from that perspective, and you can always increase your warranty at time of purchase if you need that extra peace of mind. The lamps inside of the F-150 Lightning look great, and they're the same across the entire vehicle lineup. There's a reverse sensing system back here, along with a backup camera. And then that backup camera also has an available hitch view. So if you need help lining up, if you're going to be pulling a trailer, that is available as an option. Towing inside of the F-150 Lightning is possible. You're 5,000 pounds minimum when you look at the standard range battery, and you can go up to 10,000 pound maximum when you're looking at the extended range instead, when you're properly configured, which is pretty solid. The overall range that you get inside of the Lightning when you're towing is also going to depend on how much you tow. Looking at forums and just videos that I've seen, you're roughly looking at about losing 40% of your range when you're towing heavy loads, so when you get closer to your maximum. So if you are going to be towing longer distances, the Lightning might not be for you unless you're okay with stopping frequently in order to charge yourself up using a level 3 charger. But all of your necessary components are here. So there's the 7 and the 4-pin wiring provisions, along with your receiver. And then the spare tire is located just underneath the truck, similar to every other F-150. So if you ever pop a tire, puncture a tire, you could technically change it yourself. The jack stand is available and the spare tire's underneath. But one of the nice things about being a Ford owner is that you have access to roadside assistance. That's the same for every Ford vehicle. So it's good for 5 years, 60,000 mile, 100,000 kilometers. So that's good for things like tire changing. If you've locked yourself out of your truck, if the battery in the Lightning's died and you need help getting a boost, it is available as an option. Getting into the bed of the truck can be done a few different ways. You've got a button just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. And then there's also a button in the back, just underneath the backup camera, that you can push. Nice, slow power drop, which is useful. Now, this one has the available spray-in bed liner that you're going to find from the factory. And the spray-in liner, it's okay. It wouldn't be my go-to though. And the reason why is I normally recommend, especially if a truck doesn't have the bed liner, get it done aftermarket through Line-X. It's about twice as thick as the factory liner, and it also has a lifetime warranty. Off to the left side, there's a little control in order to turn on your bed lighting. And then there are a boatload of different plugs back here. So you got a 7.2 kilowatt hour level 2, and then a whole bunch of 2.4 kilowatt regular wall plugs instead. Along the right side, there's a little storage cubby there as well. Not a big amount of storage, but it is available there. Payload inside of the truck is another story. And the overall payload that you get is going to depend on if you're in the Platinum, the extended range, or the standard range. The Platinum gets the worst deal out of it, so you're maxing out at a little over 1,600 pounds. The standard range battery is going to give you 2,200 pounds, and then the extended is kind of right in between. But if you want to know what the exact payload is of an F-150 Lightning or even a regular F-150, the first row door, when you pop it open, there's a little yellow payload sticker that's going to tell you the exact amount. And in this one, it's a little over 1,800 pounds. So the overall payload that you get in the truck depends on your configuration options. Which options do you have? Have you gone for the sunroof? Do you have a tonneau cover installed? Every little thing has a net weight, which is going to negatively impact your overall payload capacity. So if you're nickel and diming your payload capacity and you're getting up to that standard range, like 2,000 pounds and moving up a little bit, you're going to have to look for a regular F-150 instead. But the overall payload capacity, like I said, all over the place, depending on the configuration for the truck. One thing this one has that I love, the little work surface area in the back. So there are all the measurement units back there. You've got a few bottle openers along the side, and then the clamps on top of that. This one does have the available tailgate step. So, if you have a tendency to get in and out of the truck frequently, that tailgate step is a huge butt saver for sure versus jumping into the truck. Inside of the regular F-150, there's that new multi-function swing tailgate instead. No traditional tailgate step like what we're looking at here, but it does have some side steps so you can still get into the bed easy enough. And one cool thing is that if you reach underneath that button that you pushed in order to be able to open this up, you can also button push again. in order to close. Really useful. The side view mirrors inside of the flash trim level of the F-150 are manual folding, non-telescoping. They've got a turn signal, a side-mounted camera, and there's also lighting on the outside there, and that's part of the zone lighting, which lit up at night, you get that front zone lighting going, the side and the rear. It looks so good. These are the regular black platform running boards you'll find inside of the truck. The Platinum trim has power deployable available. This is your security code, so keyless entry if you don't have your key fob on you to get inside. There's intelligent access, so you can push there to lock, slide your hands in order to unlock. Across the Lightning lineup, these buttons are pretty much going to be the same, except for the Lariat and Platinum trims, where you'll also have seat memory available. But otherwise, side view mirror controls, window controls, some storage high and low, along with a speaker. There are controls for your side view mirror zone lighting. You can open and close the frunk or the tailgate. There's bed lighting, figure out what's going on with your running lamps. And then, for people that are vertically challenged, some power adjustable pedals on top of that. These are the rubber trays you're going to find from the factory. And honestly, I recommend them. It's just so much easier to clean these things down in comparison just to the regular carpeted mats. This is the flash trim level, which means you're looking at just a regular cloth seat. It is power adjustable, which is nice. Inside of the Lariat, it's going to be ActiveX seating material, so a faux leather. Inside of the Platinum, it's going to be a full leather seat instead. Hopping inside, you are. Push button start. Look at this startup. Oh, that looks good. There's adaptive cruise control inside of the ride. BlueCruise, which is full hands-free driving as well. And it utilizes a camera there to watch your eyes to make sure you're paying attention. It's such a cool feature. But if you want to walk through, like you want to know how to use the steering buttons, go through the cluster or the infotainment, you'll find walkthroughs down in the description of this video. The steering wheel is going to be either manual or power depending on the trim. The flash is strictly going to be a manual telescoping. The infotainment system here, like it's so feature packed. You've got AM, FM, Sirius XM, there's USB support, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay that are wireless as well. And there are so many other things, like incredible features. You've got games that are available as well that you can play while you're stopped, Sudoku, jigsaw puzzles, etc. A series of different controls, including the option of putting yourself into sport mode, a little off-road mode. There's one pedal driving, which means you really only have to worry about the accelerator. And then a boatload of other things like driver assistance and things like that. You're going to find a 360 camera inside of the ride with one thing that I love. Look at this little hitch view. So if you're backing yourself up and you want to make sure that you're lined up perfectly to your receiver, you've got that available as an option. Your climate control settings are baked right into the screen. I know some people aren't nuts about that one, but one cool thing is that there's a voice command prompt that's going to let you do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice. You can adjust the climate with your voice as well. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it is so useful at the same time. There's a heated steering wheel inside of the ride, and you've also got a boatload of things. So I mentioned USB power, or USB, I should say, for audio. There are 3 different audio sources, or I should say 3 different speaker choices available inside of the Lightning. So it's either going to be a 6-speaker system, an 8-speaker Bang & Olufsen, or for 2024, a 14-speaker instead. The 8-speaker is good. The 14 is just so much better. But hold on, let's listen to some audio here for a second. So this is coming off of the USB stick here, and it's just in the microphone. So there's no post-processing done on this whatsoever. The audio inside of this ride is so good.
I'll do what I want to do. I got a different path from everyone, and that includes you. Who are you to tell me how to live life in these times?
Since this is the flash trim level, you've got heated first row seats that are available, ventilated in the Lariat and the Platinum. There's a wireless charge pad, some cup holders, a manual shifter here as well, like traditional shifter, which I love it. You can also fold it down because you can show off the interior work surface area. So useful if you're working out of your truck. And one cool thing is that the opposite side, you are lockable inside of it too. Lifting up, you've got a removable tray, a little power point down low, so USB power point still in there. Along the side, there's a 12-volt power point there, traditional wall plug, along with some storage, a fully lockable glove box. It's got a good amount of space. There's a holy crap handle along the passenger side and the driver's side too. You're going to find an auto-dimming rear view mirror. Overhead, basic controls for your cabin lights, along with sunglasses holder. This one doesn't have a sunroof. From here, overhead, there's a little ticket receipt holder on the inside. Vanity mirror has no lights inside of this trim level. What this does, extend out. Oh yeah, look at that, blocking all of the sun. That's going to be hitting your face. Space-wise, inside of this, with the seat as far down as it's going to go, up overhead, I've got what? 5, maybe 6 inches of head space. So I'm 6 feet tall. So if you're any taller than that, like 6'4", 6'5", you'll probably comfortably be able to sit inside of the first row of the F-150. It's good. The second row of the Lightning has a boatload of space. But along the door, you've got a window control, bottle holder, some storage high and low, along with a speaker. You're going to find a little assist handle to make getting inside easier. You've got pockets behind both the driver and the passenger side. There's a hook and a light along both the passenger and the driver's side as well. You'll find some cup holders, a regular wall plug, a few USB Type-C ports, and a traditional wall plug back there as well. You can see a little bit of ambient lighting. And that's even for the first row, so you'll find some ambient lighting there as well. Then, with the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall, in the second row, I've got a great amount of knee space, foot space, and head space with me sitting fully upright. Like, what, 2.5-ish inches of head space. So taller people, you'll be okay back here. Not a ton of space, but you'll have more than enough leg space and foot space. So you could always just kind of like hunch back if you really needed to. But space is pretty good back here. Now, the seat inside of the F-150 can be lifted up. You're not going to find the partition lockable storage like what you're going to find in the regular F-150. So just this mini storage tray down here. And then this is just the thermoplastic rubber tray with the carpeted mats down there as well. So I do recommend getting the trays, especially if you're going to have people back here. It's going to get messy because this is so much easier to clean off. Once the seat's up, it's locked into place. So you just got to pull the tab there in order to drop the seat down. And then, taking a walk to the other side. Passenger side has the same lift up with a little bit of storage there. And you've also got a tab there that you can pull in order to show the tether point. And then there's also the jack stand. So if you ever need to change a tire out yourself, you've got the flexibility to do it because the spare is located just underneath the truck. But that's the interior of the F-150 Lightning. Like, I would say that the Lightning is a fairly solid ride, especially as we are right behind a King Ranch Super Duty, which is going to be just a crazy gas guzzler. But if you don't need a truck that's going to tow that much, the F-150 Lightning could be a truck that you look at. And even if you're not going to tow, because I can't tell you the number of people that I know who don't need a truck that have one. Hold on. And some on-ramp handling. It's surprisingly smooth inside of this truck. And you wouldn't expect much because it's a pickup truck, but it's a comfortable drive. It's a quiet drive. Best part, hands-free. So Ford introduced the hands-free driving system inside of the F-150. And I gotta say, I absolutely love it. You can use the hands-free system even if you're wearing sunglasses, which is amazing, but you can't be dozing off, looking around to the sides, whatever the case may be. You have to be paying attention, looking forward. In my experience, the system works incredibly well. Like, no complaints at all. I did a 70-ish kilometer trip picking this truck up, and I was hands-free probably for 90% of the time. It's amazing. It does have a lane change assist feature too. So what it can do, you hit the turn stalk to go left or right, the truck is going to check to see if there's anybody in your left or right side, and then it'll automatically merge over for you. So the one thing about the BlueCruise system is that it plays with your mind the first few times that you use it. So you might be used to adaptive cruise control where the truck is automatically going to slow down if the car in front of you slows down as well. But with the BlueCruise system, it is complete hands-free driving. Your hands are off the wheel, your feet are off the gas and the brake, and you're just kind of kicking back. Like I said, you do have to pay attention, but the system is incredible all around. Like, I have not run into any issues with it. And even when you come up to situations like this where there's an on-off ramp, it knows to still hug the side. The cabin noise inside of the Lightning is also surprisingly close to non-existent. Like, there's a bit of cabin noise here, but it is not bad by any stretch. Like, it's nowhere near as noisy as you would think the interior of a truck would be. You obviously don't have the rumble of the Coyote 5-liter V8 or any of the other engines to worry about, but it's just a quiet, comfortable ride all around. But the handling inside of the truck is surprisingly good. And, ooh, I'm gonna have to definitely do a U here. That's the downside of a truck. 3-point turning in order to do anything. No complaints. Getting back up to speed. Oh yeah, nice and quick. So, who is the F-150 Lightning for? In my opinion, I would say it's for people that don't necessarily need a truck, but they want a truck. You want something that sits a little bit higher while giving you good safety overall. It's going to be for business owners who might only travel 50 to 100 miles or even 150 miles a day while towing some lighter loads. So there are a lot of options that are available inside of this truck. You've got good power capabilities as well. But you can find all the tech walkthrough videos, links off to Ford Canada and US, and then the build details for this truck down in the description. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you next time, take care.